You know that feeling? That first sip of coffee in the morning? For so many of us, it's that non-negotiable ritual that flips the switch from groggy to, well, to human. It really feels like you're just pouring liquid energy right into your system.
But have you ever really stopped to think about what's actually going on inside your head when that happens? Turns out, it's not so much about creating energy as it is about pulling off a pretty brilliant act of chemical deception. All right, let's get into it.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the daily grind of a chemical rivalry happening in your brain. Then we'll see how caffeine acts as this great imposter. We'll look at what it does to your sleep switch, what it means for young developing brains, and finally, we'll rethink what that next refill really means for you. To really understand caffeine, we first need to get to know its rival, a molecule your own body makes, specifically to make you feel tired. See, this whole thing isn't about generating wakefulness. It's about blocking the signals for sleep.
So say hello to adenosine. Think of it as your brain's natural sleep messenger. From the moment you wake up, your body starts producing it, and the levels just keep rising all day long. As it builds up, it plugs into receptors in your brain, telling your nerve cells to slow down, making you feel drowsy. It's your body's gentle, natural way of saying, hey, it's time to wind down.
Okay, so where does caffeine come into this? Well, caffeine is basically a master of disguise. It performs this really clever hijack right at the molecular level, and we can actually see it happen.
And here's the secret. On a molecular level, caffeine looks almost identical to adenosine. It's such a good look-alike that it fits perfectly into those same adenosine receptors in your brain. But here's the trick. Instead of activating them and making you sleepy, it just sits there. It blocks them. It's like putting the wrong key into a lock. Yeah, the key fits, but it won't turn. So the real adenosine can't get in, that sleepy message never gets delivered, and you feel alert and awake.
And this image shows that takeover in action. It's pretty amazing. You're looking at PET scans of a human brain. The brighter one up top, that's the baseline. The dimmer one on the bottom is the same brain after caffeine. See those darker areas? That's literally where caffeine has swooped in and is camping out in the adenosine receptors, physically stopping the brain's own sleepy molecule from doing its job. We can literally see the hijack happening.
And this is not some small minor effect. Research from the Journal of Nuclear Medicine found that drinking about 4 to 5 cups of coffee, which, let's be honest, is a daily habit for a lot of people, can block up to 50% of your brain's key adenosine receptors. That means half of your brain's, hey, it's time for bed signals are effectively getting put on mute.
So, blocking these receptors does way more than just keep your eyes open. It actually changes your brain's internal clock and even physical stuff, like blood flow, in some really surprising ways. The most obvious result is that caffeine messes with what scientists call sleep latency, which is just a fancy way of saying how long it takes you to fall asleep. By blocking adenosine, you're not just ignoring your body's go-to-sleep text message, you're actually delaying its delivery. Studies show it can push back the start of your sleep, especially deep REM sleep, by as much as 2 hours. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about blood flow. While you're awake and feeling that caffeine-fueled focus, it's actually causing blood flow in your brain to go down. I know, it sounds a little backward, right? But just wait, because the whole story flips when you finally get to sleep. Yep, research on people who drink caffeine regularly found something pretty wild. While they're asleep, especially during deep sleep stages, their brain blood flow actually increases a lot. Now, scientists are still exploring this, but one theory is that this extra blood flow might help flush out metabolic waste from the brain, which could even be linked to some of caffeine's possible neuroprotective benefits.
Okay, so if caffeine has all these complex effects on a fully developed adult brain, messing with sleep, changing blood flow, what in the world happens when you introduce it to a brain that's still under construction? This is where the story gets really critical, especially for kids and teenagers.
And the reality is, kids are drinking a lot more caffeine these days. Data shows this incredible 70% jump in caffeine consumption among children and teens over just the last 30 years. What used to be maybe a single soda is now often way more than that.
And just look at where it's all coming from. A can of Coke has about 35 milligrams, okay? But a 16-ounce Monster energy drink, that's 160 milligrams. And a grande coffee from Starbucks, a massive 320 milligrams. It adds up so fast, and a lot of times, parents and even the kids themselves have no idea how high the dosage really is. And this trend has health experts pretty concerned.
For a brain that's still developing, getting enough quality sleep is absolutely crucial for growth, and caffeine obviously messes with that. But it goes beyond just sleep. Some research suggests it could actually alter the development of important brain regions and might even be linked to things like increased impulsivity. And of course, a lot of these drinks are packed with sugar, which brings a whole other set of problems.
So, when you boil it all down, caffeine isn't some magical energy potion. It's a really sophisticated molecular imposter that basically borrows alertness from tomorrow by silencing your brain's natural signals for rest today. And don't just take my word for it. This quote from the research really says it all. The amount of caffeine most of us drink every day isn't just giving us a little kick. It's having a major, measurable, and physical effect on our brain's core systems, the very ones that tell us when it's time to rest. So the next time you reach for that mug or that energy drink, the question isn't just, do I need a pick-me-up? It's also, what conversation am I stopping my brain from having with itself? Knowing it hijacks your brain's natural rhythm, what does your next cup mean to you?